Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Coach Dub here from High School Jesters, welcoming you to our fourth week installment of Just a Recap. It's our what? Fourth week in the league for our 13th season. It's been an awesome experiment of improv on stage this year, but this week we're going to come to you digitally to break down all of the awesome shows, all of the awesome moments, give out some props, give you some advice, all this good stuff. So, we're ready to get started. I know I'm warmed up. The only people I need to get warmed up, well, I guess apart from you, our Jester's Court, is my co-host. I forgot how digital improv works. King Kopy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, look at you
Production
manifesting
value.
out of the blue. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like I welcomed you on stage. Have a seat. Let me get you your metaphorical coffee mug that's always empty. And let's get started. I just wish I had a plant somewhere. I feel like every set needs a plant. Welcome to my studio, folks. This is Coach Dub. It's time for us to break down everything that made week 4 of High School Jesters Improv League awesome this week. We were at Clark for our final time. We completed the hat trick, as they say in hockey, with our third week in a row over there at Clark. And big thanks to Nick Jarrell. Big thanks to Clark. Love you guys. Love that school. It's such a great thing that you guys are a big part of our league this year in so many ways and so many reasons. And you deserve to have 3 weeks highlighting your improv or our improv on your stage. So thank you guys. Let's go ahead and ask, how was week 4 in a nutshell here, Kopy? You sometimes refer to the middle of the season hitting us at this point. Did you feel that this week, or how'd it go?
Well, I mean, we still had plenty of new students to introduce in their first weeks, and then still veterans getting their first show. So we're not fully escaped from those learning curves. But then still, anyone who was new in weeks 1 or 2, I lost you, Warren. Anyone who was new in weeks 1 or 2, really they're only in their second or third show. So there's almost kind of a formula behind someone who's new in this league, what it's like to be in their first show, second, third. I mean, those are, I don't know, I've got a ton of evidence and a ton of years to know almost exactly how those go. So sometimes you know when you've got someone next to you who's been in the league for 4 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't because of just the process.
Yeah.
So 4 weeks, we are technically halfway done with the season.
Hard to believe after all the buildup, right, kiddos? And all of the question marks and all of the concerns. We're already halfway done, so you might as well get all the way in the water. If you haven't gotten in the pool of improv yet, the water's great, and it shows in the improv that I got to see. I got to see more improv this week than I have the entire season, so big thanks to all the schools. I might actually have something to say this week outside of, Kopy, you're obviously right as always. And we're going to break down those shows here in just a few moments with shows from a hat. I know it's one of your favorite segments. Let me go and whip off the old hat-a-doodle with my shows inside. We have 11 of them to break down. Yep, still bald, folks. Don't, all cheer at once. Let's jump right in, Kopy, if you're ready to break down all 11 of this week's awesome shows. We'll start off with number 1. And I'm excited to hear about this because one of my favorite students in the league made their season debut. I'm talking, of course, of Victor over at Sierra Vista, an old friend of mine I used to coach a couple years ago. How did Sierra Vista do as Western stood across the stage from them this week?
We got to, so we got a 4-year vet and Victor up there. We got to welcome
Victor. Miss you.
To welcome back Braxton, who returned after missing online last year.
That's awesome.
And Braxton, I mean, I think grew a foot, grew some hair. I mean, I didn't even recognize. If Braxton would have said, "Hey, it's me," I would have been like, "What? Really?"
Right. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, and Archer and Soraya got their second shows in as well. On the other side with Western, the whole lineup for me is what made this fun, is just the choices, how silly this got. I mean, they opened the show with Tag Out, which is one of my personal favorites. it's kind of a stem off of a whole entirely different form of improv that we don't do in Jesters. So when it's played well, it can be really good, and that's how they opened the show, which was kind of neat because you had a ton of new, fresh blood on stage. So over on Western side this week was My, and My was the only veteran there. So everyone else is still on the newer side for Western, but Western has just been kind of filling their stage with energy and everything they do. So Zach and Cameron, who have not missed a show yet for Western, they've been in each week, and I don't think Western's even had a bye yet. I think they've done the first 4 weeks.
Wow.
So I think Zach and Cameron have been in each one, and it's just they're just eating it up. I mean, Western's got buttons and say captain and first. It's just that's when you're at that level, you're having fun.
That's
right.
So
they got to have a fun beastie rap where Soraya's, I'm pretty sure it's Soraya's dad, laid down an awesome beatbox, and I called him out after the game.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, now that we know that you exist, like we're gonna use you again.
We need you every week.
We're gonna use you again. And yeah, he was good. He was really good.
That's cool.
Soraya, you're gonna have to come to shows that you're not even in, just so that we can use dad.
We can hang with your dad.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here for.
Thanks, Willie. I know you're not watching the Just a Recap, but thanks, Dad.
You never know. Maybe Willie's like, this is my 5 minutes.
Man.
Jesters will mention me.
Maybe that's
the balded brothers with beards are here to recognize you, Willie. Not that that's our official stage name. Go ahead.
Yeah. So everyone's at least been in a show or a couple now. So there was a general comfort here in the show. So we want to get past the initial excitement to get to comfort, to get to the point to where we can start doing some really good work. And this might even be a theme in how we talk today, but the more we try and put together and do well at improv, actually, the more fun this gets. So if you're having fun now, awesome. Like that's exactly what this is all for. But when you can really start applying some things that you know and you're learning, that's when this just is an absolute blast. So yeah, that was a pretty good feel good show.
Yeah. And, being in the audience for half of the day early on, I felt like a lot of it felt good. That's absolutely right. Everybody who was there is enjoying themselves and loving what we do. And that's always the feeling I think we miss the most in Pandemiprov was like, hey, where is us just kicking it and enjoying each other's company and creative impulses. And so let's see how show 2 went and see if we captured some of those impulses in that performance as well as, I'm excited to talk about this one. Bonanza and Rift Side squared off. And I get to call dibs, please, because I got to watch this one and I officially want to jump on the Bonanza bandwagon because I thought Alphonse and Mona. See, I have to close the R. Mona. Finish the archway, if you will. And Aiden, especially, they just popped out at me. The comfort level and the chemistry with each other and the confidence and the smoothness of so many great one-liners I saw from them had me turning around in my seat looking for my Del Sol kids and going, guys, watch this team. Because do they capture that energy of a performance squad? And boy, did they have to, because Rift Side is Rift Side. We know them as our defending champions. And by the way, Joshua, Siegfried of Siegfried and Roy called, he wants his hairline back. Holy cow. Your hair is majestic.
Week, right? Yeah.
It's majestic.
Yeah.
How does he do this?
Yeah.
But they're oozing confidence too, and Josh especially, you could see how he's resonating that energy out to his team. I can't wait for you to break it down because I felt like he was the most veteran of them all up there this past week.
So I'm pretty sure this is the case, and I'll stand corrected if we get to it. But Josh's 3 teammates were all first timers. This was their first show, all 3.
I felt the energy. Josh was just helping him out.
I think that was the only scenario like that this weekend. But I mean, even in that case, I thought all 3 of them didn't play like it was their first show.
Nope. And you don't
So,
have to with Josh next to you. You just have to ride his amazing wave. And what a wave.
well, and I'll even take that a step further. Sophia had a very natural way about what she was doing.
Sure.
Saruni had just fun quirkiness with her
Yes.
own thoughts and ideas.
Yes.
Balt apparently is friends. This is all backstage rumors. Balt is apparently friends with Evan from Basic, Evan Hardy, our 4-year veteran. So
yeah, drink that Kool-Aid.
yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Bonanza brought it. Like this was
Fun.
for me.
So
And
fun.
I'm gonna comment on a game, but just to close up some of those Riffside thoughts. So I made a comment, just a very simple blanket comment to Riffside, just talking about how their graduated championship teammates are gone and how the things that they provided, we still have to find a way to use that.
Forgotten. We'll never forget.
Oh, of course not. I mean, their name's Riffside. So how do you make sure that you have that balance? Because those 4 got to do 2 full years together before winning that championship. So that chemistry they really got to put in that time and those hours and balance. Their balance was so well. So
They were
I know there's a focal point that they're pushing for is to just make sure they've got that balance. So I know it's heavy in Josh's head, and I could see it. I saw it in their inner monologue, and I was like, "Oh, I see exactly what's happening right now." Now on the other side for Bonanza, so Coach Tirza, huge tip of the hat on deleted scenes. So deleted scenes was a game that Tirza had to a science as our league MVP back in 2017. Just knew how to play it. So when I was watching your kids play it, I was just like, "Whoa, good for you." For a moment, watching Alfonso and Mona come out in the deleted scenes reminded me of Tirza and Sydney. So from those years. So
sure.
Yeah, really, really good. And kind of face melting is kind of what happened there. And then I really wanted to see Josh and Aiden close out their what else he got. It was jump rope, I think. And I mean, they went for it. Like normally you just get tired after a second and it's over, but not those two. They they got the most out of that they possibly could.
I think I bowed out right before that show ended, literally as What Else You Got was wrapping, which is a bummer. Special thank you to Josh and Aiden for what you do for your schools. I could feel how both of you are having awesome impacts, and I'm glad Aiden's with the Bonanza squad who's back in the league. That's a feel-good show. Great energy. I'm thrilled to watch Josh work. I feel like Josh could leave Jesters and go and do anything on stage he wants. He's so attached to everything. He's moving and thinking and expressing every part of his body. It's amazing. So if you haven't seen Riffside do some Josh Ocampoing, go check it out. And Aiden at the Bonanza side, obviously lifting up his teammates as well. I really like Alphonse and Mona, especially from what I saw this week. Great chemistry, guys. Thanks for the show. I'm really sorry I didn't get to finish it, but we will finish discussing this next show. It's our third one as Northwest CTA take on West Tech. I feel like this is a matchup I've said before in past weeks, but maybe it was Western, all these Westies. Right. You know, so
I do that paperwork. I get those two mixed up all the time.
No offense to the schools who are entirely different and are also in different locations to boot. Did we see, I feel like we haven't talked about Erica Fish in a few weeks. Was she back this week?
She was back. And kind of they picked up where they left off last week. I was talking about Mason's big crowd. They were back. Yeah. Like we used to talk about Tuacahn bringing the bus.
Thank you, Mason.
Yep, which is a very old comment now.
Yeah.
God, that sounds weird, but
Tuacahn and the bus, man.
Tuacahn
what a year
used to legitimately bring a bus, and I think Mason brought a bus again. So
arguably the height of our on-stage time. Man, watching Tuacahn work. But talk about the now. My bad.
Right. And so in this particular week, we got your 4 years with Isaiah and Erica up there with Mason and Brandon. Brandon gives me all the same feelings that I was talking about last week with Estrella from Bonanza. He radiates positivity and radiates fun, and like it should almost like him in the middle of a scene with his never going away, sheepish, boyish smile is a
Mhm.
poster. Like, it's just a poster for what this league should be. So, yeah, they didn't stop anywhere there. On West Tech's
No.
side, what really cracks me up is that we've
Mhm.
got Ashley and Aaron,
Yes.
who have a strong bond with Coach Song, and their shirts even
Yeah.
say Song 1 and Song 2, right?
So cute. That's
Right.
adorable.
So there's another player who got in her first show this week.
Okay.
Bianca is her name. Bianca is, from a personality standpoint, if you turned around and you let Bianca and Song play in an improv game together, you could not tell the difference.
Oh boy.
Just the height of Song's performing ability is exactly who Bianca just is. That's just
Ooh.
who Bianca is. So
That's a larger than life persona.
I had so many just double takes. Like, is Song on stage playing right now? Like,
That's
this was just
awesome.
so weird to experience and be a part of. And Bianca, this might not mean anything to you, but this is truly a compliment.
It is.
So yeah, for your first show, awesome. Quentin, I know you were nervous backstage before you walked out, because this was your first show, technically.
Number one.
But I've seen how strong you are and how good of a brain you have, and you went out there and just did your thing. So and then you had Aaron, you had one of the twins, and then Jacob. Jacob got the captain spot, and that might be from that acknowledgement we gave Jacob 2 weeks ago. So good for you, sir. This show didn't disappoint.
Cool. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great matchups all around thus far this week. We said it was a feel-good week. Maybe the positivity continues. If Legacy and Desert Pines have anything to say about it. Desert Pines gave us the surprise of a lifetime this week by reminding us that Kopy doesn't memorize everybody's years in high school. Not only is Victor at Sierra Vista a surprise senior this year, but it turns out so is Sarah Miller at Desert Pines. Yay! We are so happy that you're there doing improv, kiddo. Let's go.
Yeah, Sarah reminded me of that, like, first day of school when I was there to do their normal and I was like, ugh, like, because I get a handful of these wrong, and there's gonna be a few of you where I'm gonna mess up your school year at least. Some of you I'm like, oh cool, you're a freshman. Nope, I'm a senior. Oh cool, oh you're a senior. We're losing you. Nope, I'm a freshman. I'm gonna mess that up somewhere. But really good with names. So good luck
with names.
Messing me up on your names.
Guys, Kopy's the best name guy ever. It's really unbelievable.
Weird skill.
But so the show.
Yeah, on this particular show, there was a moment that just has to be talked about in 6 things. So if you are any of the crew that hung out for a lot of the day, you got to see a lot more miming this week. And in this was my challenge for this show. This was me throwing 6 things into this show. So it wasn't even their choice. So when I challenged, they had to figure out who was guessing, and then make the choice and go out of the room and whatnot. So Haley jumped up, and good for you, Haley.
Never an easy thing to bravely volunteer for.
Right. That left Avi and Sarah to do the miming for Haley, and Sarah just owned that miming. Like, we were just laughing so much at how Sarah was able to control that and make us and there were times when Sarah just didn't know what to do, but just the energy and the commitment and the sound effects and just like, hey, the show's up here, make sure you're watching what I'm doing, is what Sarah was doing. And it was man, so good.
Yeah.
Now on the Legacy side, all new players new this year.
Welcome.
Right, and you just had this monster of a performer over there just killing it.
Sure.
It was a pretty cool moment to be a part of and just laugh at and enjoy. On the Legacy side of it, we get to see, I might have to confirm. I think we've gotten Dan and Genevieve in every Legacy show this year so far.
Okay.
Genevieve has a very just sweet personality, like like a Isabella Medina from Valley. Just kind of that just the way that they speak and they talk just is always so unique and just fun. And Genevieve has that, and Dan clearly really enjoys being here and doing this. The week we were at Legacy, Dan was there an hour before I was.
He was that kid.
He was that guy. Yeah.
He was the one in the parking lot going, "I'm ready."
Yeah. So
I'm ready.
Yeah, they're figuring it out. They're clicking with Coach Faith, and it's nice. Oh, and I know you're never gonna watch this, but Miss Smith, the theater teacher at Desert Pines, 2 weeks in a row coming to see her students. So we don't get a lot of teachers that come and do this. So Miss Smith, tip of the hat to you for sure.
Indeed.
Thank you. That means more to students than you know, and she knows that. She's a teacher.
And to the league. Let's be real. Any teacher giving us the time, their time to come on out and see what we're up to, we are very, very grateful, because why not? Right. These kids are learning to play together and build together and make friends across the valley. And boy, we want more people to be aware of what we're doing. Just saying.
We'll be at Desert Pines in a few weeks. So
yay. Yeah. And Desert Pines is having a strong year for improv. I hope Legacy and their new rookies started to drink up some of the great performing that we saw across the stage from them. Very exciting. Next up, how about Arborview and Cimarron? This one closed the day, and if there's a matchup that screams energy at me, I would think it would be this one. Did they blow us out of the water with the presence they brought to the stage? These two mighty schools.
Yeah. Well, we got do we have two new people? No, just one. We had Azra as a new person. So
no one's better than Azra.
Get it?
Maybe not. They're a one-hit wonder.
There might be people who don't know. That's a band. Warren made a band joke.
I made a bad band joke. Bad band.
Talking about Azra, who was in the show.
Right. So nice to have you, Azra. You're not bad. We're grateful you're here. Tell us about it.
Okay, so for this particular show, Arborview has this just walking through the door confidence.
Yes, I believe you kicking open the saloon.
You know, an Arborview's around, and I've said this to their twin towers, to their Allison and Audrey. Just those two giving suggestions in improv just make me laugh so much. They don't even need to be on stage before we're laughing at it. So they came in with birthday hats for whatever reason this week. They've been throwing little themes and having a little fun with that, just walking through the door. Sam got back up on stage for Cimarron this week.
Okay.
We didn't have Sam last week. Sam was our Cheyenne standout transfer.
Man, Eden, the myth, the Umholtz.
Yep. I had a lot of fun with Eden from Cimarron this week.
Okay.
I think I said this in Eden's first show, but I got to meet Eden about a month before the season, and Eden's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do improv," and I'm like, "Okay, sure, no problem." And then that first show, I got to throw it back in their face. I'm like, "Oh, look who's here!"
That's right.
And here I am now in the second show, going, "Man, you aren't bad. You've got some ways to think about these thoughts." They picked a hard lineup. They did blind line, interrogation, radio, sideline debate, all heavy seat. Like you make me and Roman work when you have a lineup like what you chose.
No kidding.
And that's what you did. And somehow Cimarron like flew through interrogation in like record time. I never seen that game go that fast.
Speaking of miming, like Cimarron's always had this fascinating knack for it. Remember the Desi days when you would have to give a fourth suggestion in 6 things just to keep them busy? Like remarkable stuff. There's something that Cimarron gets out of miming. Seems like it's a bit of a theme, the Sarah Miller miming. Maybe we had some great miming here. Maybe miming's a theme today. So good for you schools bringing that out and really dusting it off.
Yep. And sideline debate. I mean, to me, that's probably the hardest one on the list.
Gosh, it sure is. I mean, something strange about multisyllabic words. If we don't want them in our English class, we definitely don't want them on stage. So whenever your kids are brave enough to show your vocabularies and dust them off with some sideline debate, you're to be commended for the effort.
Right.
Well, another show is on deck, Kopy, and it's another classic East Valley matchup as Basic and Secta clashed comedy this week. Secta has been gelling and understanding more about who they are around some really awesome young faces and some returning veterans, sure. But then there's Basic, who's got Evan Hardy, right? Evan Hardy is one of, if not the greatest Evans I've ever met in my life. He is an Evan like no other. There is truly something awesome when he's on stage. Just everything he does is fluid and easy and smart, so smart and cool, like the other side of the pillow. So how did this go? How did these two teams match up this week?
I have one confirmed awesome acknowledgement and one unconfirmed awesome acknowledgement.
Okay,
so
I'll confirm that for you, I suppose.
Well, let's try. So, for whatever reason, backstage before the show started, Secta and Basic split. One went to one side of the curtain, one went to the other. So I had to go and greet like on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to Secta first, and hey guys, what's up? They had one new face up there, which was Ethan.
You're so cool, Kopy. What's up? Look at you fitting in.
In the moment, just meeting Ethan for the first time was very simple, right?
Yeah.
But Catherine, Ava, Cody were up there ready to go again.
Yeah.
Go over to Basic, and I'm talking about Ethan. Then I'm going to finish his story in a second. But I go over to Basic, and I meet another new face, which is Emma. And Emma says to me, "Do you know Jack Elton?" And of course, I know Jack Elton, right?
He's the Jack Elton. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that's my response to very simple. But immediately when she says that, Evan starts laughing, and then she says, "Well, that's my cousin. Jack Elton's my cousin."
Wow.
So we have a minute where we're just like, yeah, of course I know the Eltons and Sam and the family, and they've been through the league. And if you look at any of the stuff behind me,
seriously, guys,
look, Jack Elton's name
right
is
there,
over my left shoulder.
That's right. You guys see it?
It's right there.
That's so cool.
So we just have a quick little like, oh wow, yeah, of course. And then Evan finally tells us why he's laughing, and Evan goes, "That's like going to the Oscars and asking who's Oscar, because Jack Elton has his own award here." So
another perfectly great example of why Evan is correct at most times.
Yeah. So kind of a funny, neat thing. So now moving forward, we go through the show. Ethan's on stage, has Ethan's first show, and then after the show, I see Ethan and Joseph from Basic walking together through the audience, and I went, "Huh, they look alike." I went back to the lineup sheets, same last name. I haven't been able to confirm yet if they're brothers or what. But yeah, they definitely look alike. So they just got to play each other, and I didn't get a chance to confirm that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this just in, they may just be brothers. What do we have for them?
That's kind of cool. That happens so rarely when family or siblings get to face each other because they go to different schools.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of a neat moment. Now on the Joseph side of the world, now if we're talking improv now.
Yeah, let's talk improv.
Yeah, Joseph, man, I made the compliment to him in his last show, just like, whoa, and you've got it, man. Like your little voice this week of you taking the microphone, attaching yourself to what was it, a chip or guacamole or something, whatever you were. And Evan just being able to stand there and you two having that banter and just, I mean, you didn't rush this scene. Emma and Taz, like you played your spots perfectly. A really good, solid setup there. Now, Secta, for their improv side of it, I think I finally figured out why I talk about Ava so much. Like I finally put my finger on it when this was happening. Ava has the ability to react, say thoughts, funny thoughts and things that come out, and then as Ava's saying them, a chuckle or a laugh always comes out with it. Like Ava doesn't realize that, or it doesn't understand, just like I'm doing right now. Ava Ava realizes as it's coming out, oh, that was funny, but I have to keep going. I have to keep trying to make this work. And Ava just has this really awesome talent to do that.
You know, I remember my few interactions with Ava being in very serious mode and being very like, I'm learning the craft, excuse me while I digest, you know, somebody taking their thoughts seriously. So it's wonderful to know that they're picking up on something else that I know other great secta legends do, and that is be self-aware enough to chuckle at oneself as they're creating good stuff. Cameron Coleman, anybody, right? Former MVP out of secta. So and
who's also behind me
somewhere.
That's right. My hands. So
I cannot stress this enough as one of the most like passionate audience members to ever come from any improv audience. I love improv. I love creativity. I love it when the performers have to laugh, when they just have to be there in the moment, because if they're laughing, they're having fun. And gosh darn it, if I don't have at least twice as much fun watching them have fun. So that's great to see Ava joining that club.
Well, and I just now thinking about it, putting it all together. And first off, on an improv note, Catherine, like I see it. You're growing every week. Don't change. I was so happy to see you hosting. It was Emotional Party, right? Yeah, you hosted it. I was like, oh, good for you.
Good.
Jordan Sagers, Cody's older brother, who's now graduated, came.
Hi, Jordan.
Yep. So he wore his secta shirt and everything, came to tell me that his older sister, Alyssa, just got engaged. Congrats, Alyssa. Alyssa was a part of Jesters.
So like 3 years ago. This is fast.
Yeah. Well, it just to show you that all the stories just around this particular show, just the history is rich. This league is cool. It's just cool to catch up and have these conversations.
Gosh.
Evan told me Evan got accepted to BYU, which was the school that Evan wanted to go to. So it's just, that show alone was kind of neat.
Dude, lots of congratulations, lots of cool moments, lots of leveling up. 2 schools that are just getting stronger and stronger, and some great personalities in our league across those teams, to be sure. And some great legacies too, some great lineage, really. You know, we've been doing this for 13 seasons, coming up on 1,000 shows, guys. 1,000. 1000. That's a lot. So
ignore Roman's joke that he told 11 times on Saturday.
It's not 700, folks.
Coming up on 1,000.
Totally not. Let's see what's in the next show. And this one goes back over to the West Coast with 2 teams with mighty histories, Spring Valley and Desert Oasis. Very fun, because I remember catching a good portion of this show, and I could see Desert Oasis's gears turning as they figure out what they can and they cannot do. And I watched there was a really charming individual on Spring Valley, the young gentleman with the glasses. You'll have to tell me the names because I'm bad at it. Great hair. B. Okay. B. Yep. Simply B.
The letter B.
Cool. What up, letter B? Doing the Dime Store novel. I mean, I'll have this keyboard in my memory for a while now because of him, concocting some magic. So tell us, how did the show go off for you?
So young, the whole cast was young in this one, except for Melissa, who was Dio's veteran.
Yep.
And that's okay. And Apollo, but Apollo's not a 4-year yet. So, on the Desert Oasis side, Zai is who I want to talk about first. Zai, in your first show a couple weeks ago, I talked about those nerves, and I know you felt them. But man, if you didn't have some comfort out there this week, I was super happy to see that. Like, you ran out, and even from your intro, I don't remember you doing that in your first show. So that was super neat to see. You had a voice, you had thoughts, and that's not to say that you individually do that. We all do. That's what you're allowed to do in this league, y'all. You're allowed to be yourselves.
Speaks up.
Yes. And Zai, even your hair, glasses, and mask combination, that's so cool. Just you stand out so much with the way you wear that. Like,
identify yourself.
Yeah. So you were clearly an individual. You are your own person, and that's awesome. Nina and Ambrose got in their first show, which was neat to see. I know Nina's been to another show, and I'm pretty sure Ambrose has too. So it was nice to get you up there. That's what I want. Let's get all these new people in these shows. On the Spring Valley side of it, I've been kind of tooting the Milan horn a little bit. and Milan keeps providing it. Yeah,
Good.
Milan's special. Apollo, that strength that I was talking about for you as well. That's clearly getting comfortable. Thank goodness we don't have to do the internet with you anymore.
Preach.
Yep. Mac, nice to see you. Just in it. Blue looks good on you, Mac. Can I say that? Is that okay?
Nice.
Yeah.
I have an issue with it, but that's okay.
We got to see, yeah, Dime Store novel and then a team choice press conference. So, go ahead.
We've seen a lot of Mac this year. I just want to say that first year in the year in the league for Mac has showed up in specific locations when needed. And if I can't say how proud I am of Mac, because when I met this student, they were a lot like Ava I was describing earlier, listening, methodically trying to understand and translate what I was coaching into some kind of substance. And I'm watching it every single chance, watching more of Mac as the person come out, watching the smile come out, watching them fit in. I got seen praises every time now for Mac because they're a quintessential awesome story for me as a coach this year. So glad you got another show, kiddo. You so deserve it. Keep showing up.
Yeah, so this was our 9 o'clock, I think. Oh, and they did Beastie Rap in this one too. We had a beatbox that was really good in this as well. Oh, Cameron from Desert Oasis is another secret beatboxer. So,
yes.
And he was also really good at it. So we lucked out on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, having good beatboxers for Beastie Rap is not always easy. Yeah. So great to see you. Caught a lot of the show, guys. Great to see both teams playing hard and playing well. Keep finding your identities. Keep sharing them with us. Keep sharing them with each other. It's the Jesters Jojo. Why Jojo? What was I thinking? Mojo? Mojo is what I wanted. It's the Jesters Mojo, folks. Get to know yourselves and share it with everybody around you. We're loving watching it this week. Another fantastic show is on deck, and I know it to be true, especially because East Tech and those Blazers go head to head with Coach Gio and his magnetically intelligent and quick learning and veteran presence of Valley High School. So much to lead up into, but yeah, this had to be a lot of fun too. Don't tell me it wasn't, right? The coaches used to be teammates, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and that was kind of where my brain was going. Romeo and Gio used to be teammates together on Valley, where Gio now coaches. And
the great cinder block era.
Yeah, that scenario doesn't necessarily play out like that for most people. So Gio gets to coach at the school that Gio used to play for. So watching Valley's crew in particular reminded me of a young version of Gio's crew, Gio and Romeo and Gabe and Alice and that crew.
What a powerhouse foursome in retrospect, yeah?
Well, and I say a young version because that group was a good group together, especially as they grew.
Yeah.
So they were able to do a lot of good things. So now I'm looking at this group. Now, Isabella, yes, is a 4-year, but the other 3 are all new. Yeah. And I think this is the second time those 4 were together this year in a show. So seeing just the seeds getting planted, and I know what Gio's doing. Heck, in radio, I think it was Dallas that got to do Gio. Like the suggestion was an impression of Gio
Dallas
or
the
something.
girl. Yeah,
Dallas the girl. So yeah, it was. I had moments during the show where I was like, "Aw," like I missed that crew, like that group. East Tech, for me, their family dinner, man.
That's an East Tech classic.
Yeah, it is, and it probably won't go away. But it was fun to see their take and to play with it. And Richard got to be in his first show for East Tech, but his first show in person, Richard got to do a show last year online. And I'm pretty sure it was one show that Richard did. And I so distinctly remember it because I remember watching and going through the videos and just going, man, this kid's got such a fun brain for this. I knew exactly who Richard was backstage. I went, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. And then walks out and Richard tells me backstage, he's like, I'm not a performer. I've never done this. And I was like, okay, something tells me you're going to be just fine. Yep. And you could tell the whole show, Richard's just like, yeah, I'm not sure why I'm here, but here's a funny thought. Here's my funny idea. So so yeah, that was kind of neat to be a part of, because then Sam now's been up there for a couple shows.
Yep.
Kylan, of course, is a multi-year, and then Camden up there for your second show. So yeah, it was neat to kind of observe and be a part of this one.
Geez, every single one is neat to observe and be a part of. It feels like it's impossible for the positivity to stop, which means we need to take it back to 8 a.m. and make sure that we slow down the energy a little bit and see how our 8 a.m.ers rose to the occasion as Del Sol goes toe-to-toe with Las Vegas High School.
Yeah. So it's probably unavoidable to talk about what 8 a.m. does to a show,
right?
And just how you want to be mentally prepared.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any lag in this one. Like I don't think it felt like it was 8 a.m. I think they went out and played. So that's nice, right? I think that's what you want. I do know backstage, like I remember the Las Vegas girls going, oh, it's so early. Like I remember that. Coach Haley brought donuts, I think, right?
Yep. Classy as always.
Yes. So I think for the actual show, I got to see some things that I was definitely excited to see. So what did we do? We closed What Are You Doing with Najee and Bella. I was really interested to see how those two different brands.
Yeah, definitely an interesting hybrid pairing.
Right. So there's a few things as this went along where I was like, oh, I like this. The four square. Sometimes when I let Roman get suggestions, I think to myself, why?
Some of those were okay. I liked a couple of the dynamics he painted, but you gotta tell me what you were worried about.
Well, normally it always works out, and that's why Roman has his job. But sometimes he gets suggestions. I'm just like, Roman, stop.
It's his rotation methods that drive me nuts. Yeah, 8 rotations to the left.
Yeah, he has fun with that.
I know. I'm just teasing. Couldn't help it.
I think in this particular show, radio is what stood out for me.
Okay.
As far as the choices, the accents, Shaggy disapproving channel was a lot of fun. Yep. I missed what Bella's radio character was.
Writing poetry around the B, something like that. Letter B, celebrity. Oh, writing poetry to letter B, celebrities, I think.
Well, and what I mean was I missed what the suggestion was when it was given.
Okay.
But in the execution of it, and then the jump on the follow through was really solid. Like it was just a really good progression. And in radio, I mean, for those of you that are radio fans, that's exactly what you want. You want to go from spot A to spot B, and you want time to elapse.
Yeah.
So if that is not a clear thought to you yet, please digest that. You want time to elapse.
It's important. And I think that game did prove a good example of that. Shout out to Haley Beck, one of my Del Sol students. I'm always thrilled to get on stage. Somebody who embodies do first, think second. And that's the best thing for our Del Sol squad. We overthink a lot. So having a Haley there to just kind of popcorn some silly is so much fun. And yes, Haley, your reaction to the idea of getting married in that specific game was absolutely correct. That made me laugh so hard, screaming in terror across the stage, creating as much distance as you could. And shout out to Snail, Kira Snail, for a show. Gotta say thanks. Visually, you know I'm gonna go there. Reminds me a lot of Avalon Wandra, one of my old stalwarts at Del Sol.
That's a good one.
And I would love to see Snail, who's got a good mind for what we're doing, got a good mind, just figuring out how to do it. I would love to see her be able to pick up those reins and learn a little bit like that to become a student just as stable in their improv. But it was a wonderful first step. Happy you got on a show, Snail. So thanks so much for being there. Mm-hmm. And now another show comes to the fold as I unfold it from my hat, and it is Rancho and LVA. And I'm sitting next to Jarrell as I was watching this game. I think I joined about halfway through after critique, and I had to lean in next to him, Nick Jarrell of Clark, and go, hey, is that Elliot? Because I haven't seen Elliot all year in person, and he's giant. So,
Right.
hi, Elliot.
Right.
I'm so bummed to know you're a senior for our own selfish reasons, but it was wonderful to see you that experience come to the stage because I recognize the performance power. You're huge for LVA this year. There's no doubt about it. And on the other side, we've got Harley,
Right.
the greatest adaptable mind of the year right now. Definitely my vote for the person
Maybe,
who can do
right.
anything they want, anywhere they want. So this had to be a good show. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So on the LVA side, what I was seeing from like the start, like as the entire show, I had to pull Coach Trent over at one point and tell him this was I was seeing chemistry. Like I was
Sure.
seeing minds mending together the way improv is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool. So in Elliot's case, Elliot's been to the top of the ladder, 4 different teams. Like Elliot's kind of been around. So to see Elliot as a senior with 3 brand new teammates, well, Sedona was a part of
Yes, remember
Pandemic
Sedona.
Prov, right?
Yep.
So to basically have 3 different new teammates and just see them gelling is awesome.
Yeah.
Because they're 4 very different people,
Mm-hmm.
personality wise. So I think LVA needs to feel really good, kind of where they're at. And I warned Coach Trent. I said, hey, the chemistry is really solid on these 4. Whatever other people are on your team, like throw them in the show so that you can make sure that chemistry expands to
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
Because yeah, they've got some things to be excited about. On the other side of it, yeah, Harley's a great comment. A neat moment for me was to do rap and Harley winning, because Harley's a
Yay.
4-year player, right? And
Yep.
Harley had a genuine excitement to winning.
Amen.
Sometimes you've just played some games so many times, right, that you're jaded.
Kopy, I've been doing this a long time. I have played at least 57 games of To Do Rap in my history, knowing what improv is.
Yeah.
I have won twice. And it's literally something you statistically celebrate for when you've played it that many times. So congrats, Harley. Bam, high five.
Yeah. So that was neat. That was neat to see that. But even going beyond that, and I was it maybe it was GTA or inner monologue maybe, but Aaliyah.
Okay.
Aaliyah had like an audience interaction moment where it was like pointing out the audience and engaging them, and that is not like a freshman
An Aaliyah move. No.
right?
No.
That's
Major
kind of a nobody move. Like nobody really does that, right? That's so little. Those abilities are so.
Oh my God. Another thing, yo, I got to tell you guys this. I'm an audience member. I love watching improv. I also love when you engage with the audience as a character, when you acknowledge them, when you're like, yeah, let's break the fourth wall long enough to go. That was funny, wasn't it? And then you go back to work. It's
Right.
such a simple thing to do.
Right.
But what if you feel like you're losing the audience, all you have to do is engage them, grab them, bring them into the scene. Smart move, Aaliyah. And it's wonderful seeing so much Aaliyah on stage. I feel like I've only been to a couple meets this year and only seen a handful of games, but I've seen more Aaliyah than most students. So this is wonderful. Nice to have you.
Yep. Emma, that I know we talked in your first couple of shows, just shyer and learning, but you stood there kind of confidently. That was kind of neat to see. And then I could never get enough of Harley and Althea together. So
it's true. And great hair, ladies.
Always.
If I can say,
Always.
You all are just killing it. Just don't use so much color for so long, or you will, I promise you, end up like Kopy and I. Finally, one last show, unless something fell out of my hat. So I think I'm keeping the proper tally. It's our last show, folks. Can you read it for me? It's Cheyenne and it's Shadow Ridge.
Yep.
Good fun all around.
Yeah, we talked last week about Coach Eva's 2 teams playing each other, and we got Coach Miley's 2 teams now playing each other. So Cheyenne, so fun. Shadow Ridge, and typically what happens is the coach will talk to me at some point throughout the week and say, "Hey, so this is happening," and we have a brief conversation. In Miley's case, it was just like, "Do you want us to do anything?" which is such a Miley thing to say.
Yeah.
And Miley says, we're going to do Jeopardy. And I'm like, all right, go for it, Miley. Like, whatever you want to do. But they played a 6-person Jeopardy, but individuals with just more contestants. And then we
Fun.
pulled up Miley to be a contestant too. We're like, oh, let's just add to it.
What a
So
treat.
yeah, that was neat. Like that for me, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's cool to have that particular moment.
Sure.
The family dinner, like I know I gave East Tech a pat on the back, but this
Mm-hmm.
show followed the East Tech show. So we had family dinners back to back. And Shadow Ridge, man, oh my goodness, that family dinner. The person, Aaron, who we got to tell the story of,
Yeah.
our Aaron's family asked for that video. I had to send it to them.
Oh man, that's a good sign.
Yeah, because of how just stinking funny it was.
Sure.
Kason, man, I've talked about your fun little brain. Kason in Family Dinner was the dad of Aaron's dad, and the only thing we learned about Aaron's dad was he was a Marine. So Kason was just making all
Very
these
fun, Kopy.
yeah, we just made all these like military choices.
Sure.
And at one point, I don't even remember the joke anymore, but it was, hey, here's my military joke. And Aaron says, no, that's not true about my dad. And then Kason takes down his mask and he goes, well, it's a secret. You didn't know. And just puts his mask back on.
That's good.
I've never seen someone shut down the family teller. Like,
that's great. What a fun choice.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Sometimes denials work, guys. Remember, denials don't work in improv, but they work on the audience.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
rock it.
Jordan P from Shadow Ridge, man, you are funny. Please just keep giving all of this funny you have. Rhea, first show, welcome to the league. Ace, first show, welcome to the league. Ace Ace was definitely like the cool player. Like everything Ace did was just cool.
If your name is Ace, you have to be cool.
Right?
Let's just put that out there.
Right. I know Coach Miley's going to go back and talk about their replay. I know Coach Miley's going to go back to both schools and go, hey guys, we need to talk about replay.
We need to talk about replay.
Yeah.
Real quick, just super fast.
Yeah. For me, a fun day all around. Seeing Coach Miley have to like pick and choose, that's the best part. So
it sure is. Yeah. Way to make all your coaches uncomfortable at one point or another.
Right.
Folks, that was shows from a hat. We got a little wordy. What can we say? Kopy and I are from our respected homes right now. We can't help but get casual. Hopefully you enjoyed the nice, relaxed banter as we broke down some of our favorite memories from this week's improv. Kudos to y'all for putting it together for us. We can't wait till next week to break down the next lineup of shows. But first, we have a show to finish tonight. We introduced a new segment last week where we really wanted to hone in on one of the games played around the league. Last week, it was Machines, to discuss the importance of the robotic sounds and movement that we look for in the game. There's a different style of game being talked about this week with just some advice. Kopy, can you give us just some advice about how we can make a specific style of game a little better this week?
Yeah, so 6 Things is probably the game that you've all been taught or learned, or at least is the easiest
subjected to.
Yeah, is the easiest one maybe to pull from memory right now.
Sure.
But just any type of pantomime game like that, I think can be lumped into this category. So the reason I talk about that, and I don't know if you guys know this list, but there is a game list.
Hi, game list.
And this particular game list, maybe you have not seen.
Not once.
All your coaches have access to it. And it's available on Saturday game days. But the reason I'm showing you is because there is a mandatory list that every school needs to know, and it's the one in gray. It's this list. Every school needs to know this list. And 2 of the games on that list are 6 Things and Sideline Debate. That's why you learn those games. And the reason that we want you to learn those games is because of how difficult they are. And the skills you learn from just the trial and error of trying to go through those games. So let's fast forward on what trial and error is supposed to teach us. And it's supposed to teach us that we can actually take these games and make them funny.
So funny.
And we can have fun knockout moments and really enjoy even the hardest of tasks and games. but we have to get there, and we got to find, we have to find the ways that allow us to get into those moments. I would say Northwest as a team had a lot of good moments with this week, but I promise you they can be funny. We got to work on it. So any of you that are just like, oh, these games, I'm struggling with them, they're there for a reason. So
right.
They're there for a reason.
You know, pantomime is one of the arts in improv that can truly make all of your other styles of games better too. You know, you inject a little bit of the world that you're building into a scene that has typically maybe a scenes from a hat kind of life, you know, where a sip of coffee can be such a great tool for the timing that you apply to your joke to follow. You don't understand the significance that comes across to an audience of a student who can comfortably stand there and do something that isn't immediately entertaining,
right,
yet use it as an asset to the idea that's to come. Build the world a little bit, right? Bring the environment in your mind to life. We have no idea where you are when you're on stage sometimes. And sometimes the most fun way for us to learn is to watch. We've got auditory learners, we've got tactile learners. Well, some of us are visual learners. So try showing us what you're doing in each and every scene and pretending like you're actually there. Maybe there's other things in the environment you can interact with and employ. And by the way, when you do, your other teammates notice, so do the other schools. And before you know it, maybe the little choice to pick up a broom and sweep or put a book away on a bookshelf opens up the conflict your scene has been needing, or provides just a little bit of relationship to the person across from you. You're sweeping poorly. We didn't know that until you said that. Gee, thanks. So, gosh, so much to do when you add a little bit of your body into a concerted, purposeful effort to depict something. Depict it.
Well, and I think that I wanted to mention it this week about how this particular game or any of these pantomime games, because I want you to go back to your coaches. I want you to talk about these games. I want you to try and figure out some of these steps and some of the science of, if you're at a struggle point where it's like, man, I struggle in these particular games.
Yeah.
How can we get these games to the point to where we're actually making them entertaining?
And that's the thing right there, Kopy. Of
Right.
all the things you just said, the best piece of advice, guys, is that it's not about guessing correctly. It's not about being correct. We said it last week. The importance of failing on your guesses is just as much fun. The importance of depicting a mime doing something that isn't going straight for the jugular of the idea, and instead maybe employing something that grows into the idea that the audience goes, oh, wait, I know what they're doing. Oh my gosh, that's so clever. Right. That's when you're really getting us. So take your time. Don't worry about being right. Don't worry about doing the right thing. Make it fun by being wrong. That's right. 90% of what we do. So yeah, can't say it enough. Mime. Kopy, that was just some advice. We're going to move right into our next segment, one of my favorites because it's more positivity. These are our props. You guys have heard this before. Props are stuff on stage we don't like. It's when we grab something physical and use it as its physical self. No thanks. But off stage, props are what we give to you, the schools, the scenes, the staff, the circumstances that made this week just a little bit more fun, a little bit easier to watch, and more gesterly. This week, Kopy will continue to give out 3 props. Give us your first prop. Who really uplifted the week, Kopy?
Yeah, our props tend to follow some sort of narrative, right? Or some sort of theme, and this week feels like another theme.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, so I'm going to give the first prop to all of Bonanza.
Yay. Yeah.
As a squad. So
yo, I'm drinking that Kool-Aid too.
Every game, all their choices, just, man, I was just like, whoa, what well did you drink from this morning? So it was kind of cool to experience that, and that's a great thing. So all of you should feel really good about that, and then just keep working now, build off of that. So you got a pretty good brain back there helping you steer the ship with Coach Tirza. So go keep working on it.
It's so fun. I agree with you. Bonanza jumped off the stage at me, and part of me has to say being around Josh Ocampo is going to make you push yourself improvisationally and see what you can really do. But kudos to those Bonanza kids for capitalizing on the opportunity, because they look like they wanted to impress, and that worked. It worked. Good prop.
Yep.
How about another prop, Kopy? Round 2.
I'm gonna give it to the entire team of LVA.
Ooh, entire teams are getting lots of love, and this time Las Vegas Academy, one of the schools best known for their performance caliber in the Valley. What made them stand out for you?
Chemistry, man.
Mm.
Sometimes when you watch Grand Theft Auto, it
Mhm.
can be disconnected, right? You can go, oh, well, this person had this idea, this person, oh, what they did was funny. You can kind of individualize stuff, but those four were just a unit.
Mm.
All the entire show. They have patience with each other. They're allowing themselves to really grow. So that chemistry is awesome, and it's gonna work. It's gonna help them. It's gonna help them as the season goes on. So yeah, I gotta acknowledge that. LVA, keep doing what you're doing.
Have some well brewed improv there, Kopy. Enjoy. Chemistry, 1,000,000% did jump out at me. It's important to see them gel as they get to the playoffs, because that's when the prov matters at last, and you really want to be able to lean on each other. Now you've learned enough about what each other prefers to do, what they prefer to play, how they prefer to play it, almost to the point where if you've developed the right amount of chemistry, you can go, this is when that guy's going to do this. There it is. I'm going to capitalize with this. Look at the crowd. They love it.
Right.
Chemistry. That's what matters. Good job, LVA, for developing it with so many new faces. Got to believe Elliot's doing a great job tying it all together as the vet. They might get real legs under them by the time the playoffs roll around, and they're off to a great start. Prop number 3, this has got to be a doozy. I can't imagine how you're going to tie the narrative together after Bonanza and LVA take the first 2 props. The entire school of who?
Well, I gotta narrow this field down a little bit, and I'm gonna just say Sarah Miller from Desert Pines.
Sarah, not a senior. Sarah, the senior Miller. Yeah. Let's go.
This isn't the first time Sarah's made it into these props category either.
Oh man.
What Sarah did in her 6 things was just awesome.
Yeah.
And everyone got to just feel that and be a part of that moment. So that's everything we were just talking about in the last segment, of just how to take something and make it fun and entertaining. And in the simplest ways, Sarah made that particular game fun. So I promise you, it can be done, everyone who struggles with miming.
Yes.
And yeah, Sarah definitely showed us how it can be done.
Props for showing us how it's done, Sarah.
Yeah, I'll give Avi and Haley credit there. I don't want you guys to think that you guys were not good next to Sarah. I think, Haley, your ability to stand there and talk is really solid. I'm happy you're the one that guessed, because that's what helped make this flow. But yeah, Sarah, kudos.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah has been one of my favorite performers to appreciate for the last 3 years, because there's something incredibly confident yet totally very clever as well. A lot of Evan Hardy, in the Sarah Miller package. That's just good. Obviously a different ensemble. But there's something about that Sarah that makes me want to say national treasure status, like protect at all costs, the Sarah Miller vibe. Thank you for being part of our league, kid. I love watching how you've grown. I can't wait to watch you perform at some point this year. I know it's got to happen. So we usually jump right into the Kopy's challenge from here. This is where Kopy tells us something we got to improve on universally. But first, a Warren's challenge, just for fun. We just heard that Sarah put on the clinic in miming, and it sounds like that's something a lot of us could benefit from. So make sure you're talking to your coaches about getting the pictures and the videos from these shows so that you can see and be reminded of all the fun and all the great examples we're really starting to accumulate this year, such as Sarah Miller's miming and such as these wonderful images from each show that I know I've been blazing into my brain from watching you kids play this year. So go talk to your coaches, see some photos, and drink it in. I know I'm a little guilty of that. I got to log in, got to figure out how to get my CCSD up. What can I say? I got to be better. So that's my personal challenge to me and the rest of you guys. Now, Kopy, your challenge, we've had it. We've all done it. We've been on stage. We've killed our games, and then we look at the clock and realize we got 10 more minutes left to play. We saw a lot of that this week. And then Kopy throws us a random game to play, whether we like it or not. And this week it was a lot of 6 things. So Kopy, out of stage, Kopy's challenge is maybe something that our league can improve on legitimately. And it's not just a game per se. Maybe it's something about the league that we need to think about a little harder. And I think you've alluded to it a little bit today, Kopy. You have kind of been writing a theme. Maybe you'll keep it coming. Maybe I know what's coming. What's your Kopy challenge this week?
I had a chance to chat a little bit with Arborview about almost this exact like concept, what I'm going to say here.
Yeah.
And you kind of almost said it in a set of different words just a moment ago.
Sorry.
So and that's fine. So my challenge this week is just very simply start talking to your coaches about the science of this. Where we are past the first day. Now we're going to get some new people still in the next month, but we're past the first day. So what can we do in this particular game? When I'm in this spot, what should I do? How long do I wait before I enter a scene? So there's a science to almost every game you play. And the more of science that you learn to these games and these concepts, the more everything's just going to start clicking. Because then you're gonna go, oh, well, in this game it's like this game it's like this. Oh, I see the similar. If you're training yourself by learning the science behind it. This is a team sport. I mean, that's truly what it is. We're working together. So start asking your coaches about that, because it's gonna help you in playoffs. It's gonna make you a better performer. And trust me, you're gonna have way more fun the more you dive into this. So talk to your coaches.
Can I yes and that for a second?
Of course.
Not just your coaches. I think it's important for you kids to think about your teammates, because it is a team sport. Everybody's decision making begins to become a pattern, right? You're going to start to notice what kinds of jokes you like to tell. You're going to start to notice what kind of stories you like to tell. I can't tell you how many times Del Sol in practice gets on one knee and proposes just because they think that's what I want out of a relationship. And that's the pattern, right? That's the pattern that they trust each other with. What are your patterns? Have you noticed what Bob likes to do? Have you noticed what Sarah likes to do? Have you noticed what Martha likes to do? And why not make that just as important to you as what you like to do? Because the more you do that, the better the prov will be universally, right, Cope?
Right. Yeah. And what do you do after you propose? I mean, if that's where we're starting, then how do we progress it? And in what ways, and who does what, and how we talk, and heck, even status flips, which is so difficult to do.
Oh man.
And it's a great point you just made. I mean, I know you've heard the Mrs. Tulip story. There was nothing about a proposal in the Mrs. Tulip story, and one of the best scenes I've ever been in, especially with a student. So
you got to give context to the folks who don't know Mrs. Tulip. Sorry.
And that's okay. It was a scene basically that was basically heading for a divorce. I mean, that was the entire scene.
Yes.
And it was me and a student, and just that's kind of the way it went. And it was a fantastic, amazing, beautiful scene. So Mrs. Tulip, I hope you're doing well. This was many years ago.
Boom.
So,
callbacks. Coming up on 1,000, we got to rehash some old memories.
Yep. So, yes, talk to your coaches, dig into your science a little bit, and I promise you'll get something out of it.
God, you will. You sure will. You've already proven you're getting a lot out of the fun. So now see how you could take the fun and make it fantastic, right? You're capable. We're watching it every week. Snippets of brilliance, folks. So keep finding it within and sifting through for those nuggets of excellence. And it starts by thinking about the people on stage with you. Spoiler alert. And so finally, Kopy, we get into the Kopy's question. We've already had a lengthy show. We've had a lot of really good conversation tonight. It's hard to want to go back to the rubric. Last week, I talked about and introduced the rubric of how we're graded when playoffs show up, right? We're graded by confidence, which we broke down last week. We talked about improv, which we break down every week. So we're not going to go 10 out of 10 on that. But there's a third one that I think causes a lot of kids anxiety. because it's the part where they feel like they're being judged for entertainment value, right? What does that mean, Kopy? Is it that they have to have you rolling on the floor at all times, or is there a different type of entertainment value that you can offer in a scene that's just as valuable as a chuckle? What does a 10 out of 10 in entertainment value look like on stage?
So, and just to be as uber clear as possible. So
Uber.
when Warren says 10 out of 10, that is the scoring.
Yep.
So each category gets a 10 in every game.
Yep.
What is a 10 out of 10 in entertainment
Yep.
per game? So here's two ways to think about it, I think. Is one, each team in each game is judged, but also there's 4 people up on stage, so each person contributes to that score. So each person contributes to what a 10, a 9, an 8, whatever the score you might get could look like. So
Right.
very, very simply on the entertainment side, engaged. How engaged is your audience in what you're doing? Is your audience in their cell phone not paying attention? Can they hear you? How engaging is what you're doing? So your effort to engage an audience is also a big piece of how engaged they might be. So yeah, does Mason from Northwest bring a bus? Sure. So we know they're going to be probably engaged that particular moment, but you take into account your actual effort to engage them, to pull them in. And that's what it is. So sometimes it's even broken down by game. So maybe, man, we love playing blank game. I'm going to give everything I got, but I hate playing blank game. You're not getting that much out of me. Well, that will apply to your scores. So when I say that pantomime and 6 things can be fun and entertaining, that the effort is a part of that. Is how can we make this weirdness and all of this craziness actually entertaining? So I hope that at least illustrates what is being looked at and why it's important. So it's broken down. We have 4-year players and we have first timers. We're going to meet some rookies this next week at Chaparral. It's going to be their very first show. They're not thinking about any of this stuff. They're probably not even watching these recaps, right?
A lot of people aren't.
Yes, a lot. Yes, a lot of you are, but everyone's in a different situation. So how do we work together? How do we put together the best, most entertaining thing we can on stage? Hopefully that's a focal point for some of us.
Yep. It's not all about the funny sometimes. Speaking personally, as somebody, I love to laugh, but I love a good story. I love drama. I love when the good guy becomes the bad guy. I love when the poor person becomes rich. I love when we're showing character growth. And I love when somebody does something I don't expect for a change. That's kind of the magic of the entertainment score. So don't lose sleep before every improv show thinking, if I don't get a laugh on this joke, I'm sinking. Don't let it deflate you. Just keep completely engaged with what you're doing. Think in the moment and express yourself as purely as you can with confidence and purpose. Those two go hand in hand a lot, you see. And you'll have a great showing in the playoffs. And don't worry, you still got plenty of time to practice with week 5 of High School Jesters coming up next week. We will be back with another Jester recap to break down all 10 shows emanating from the amazing Chaparral High School. Thank you in advance for hosting us. You're a special school in our hearts for many reasons, and we can't wait to be back on your apronless stage, you weirdos. We're going to have some great fun. I will see you next week with another Jester recap. Kopy, it's been a pleasure as always. And to you, our Jesters Court, a tip of the hat to y'all. You guys keep on improving. Bye.